So I and many other atheists who regularly speak out against Christianity am often accused of hating Christians. And just thought I'd respond to this. I don't. I wouldn't even say I hate Christianity. I have some strong feelings about it. Definitely not a fan. I'm sure you can tell if you've watched my other content. But hate isn't really the word I would use. And there's a couple reasons for this. I'm really just speaking for myself, not really speaking to anyone else's experience or feelings. And I'm not necessarily strongly advocating for anything other than don't hate in this video. Just kind of giving my thought process. So I, first off, just kind of think hatred is corrosive and gross. It's just something that eats away at you, even after the issue has been removed. Someone can do something harmful to you and then go about their life and completely forget about you. And you can still, years down the line, just be recycling that and just keep letting that hatred and resentment eat away at you. And it's just not a healthy mindset. And it's just something that I learned throughout my life. I've had a lot of people do some harmful things to me, harmful things I'm still dealing with the effects of and might be dealing with the rest of my life. And I've had a lot of anger and hatred and resentment throughout my life. And it was just corrosive. It was just gross. It just ate away at me. It made me a worse person. It made me more stressed and anxious and angry. And it just wasn't good. Even after I've removed myself from the situation, I'm relatively safe from these individuals. But I still found myself letting that anger and hatred still just boil and corrode away at me. And it just, I don't know, it just didn't seem healthy. Now, I'm not blaming anyone for holding on to feelings of anger or hatred. Your feelings are valid. If somebody harms you, you're allowed to feel something about that. So I'm not shaming anyone who's not able to let go of hatred. I just did. I reflected and felt that it was best for me to let go of that hatred, and for those around me for me to let go of that hatred and move on. And I worked towards that, to let that go. So that's reason number one. Reason number two is, when I think about hating Christians, I ask myself, who should I hate and why? Because Christianity's been passed down and spread through a variety of methods. Indoctrination, manipulation, providing community, providing answers to the unknown, providing a sense of security, bloodshed often. It's been passed down and spread through a variety of methods. So I think of it kind of as a chain of dominoes. And the current domino that we have right now is only the way that it is because previous dominoes were the way that they were, and they piled into each other. And yes, it's evolved and changed over time and kind of become an entity of itself, but all that feeds off of the previous domino. So you would have to go back and be like, all right, who tipped these dominoes? Who got this started? And you can go back, all right, who started Christianity? We can blame them, Jesus or whoever else started it, depending on what you believe. But Christianity branched off of Judaism. Okay, sure. So let's see. All right. Who started Judaism? Who do we hate? Well, Judaism branched off of other beliefs and got ideas from other beliefs. So you would have to, if you want to keep following the domino chain, to find that first domino to blame, or hate, I guess, you would have to go all the way back to the very first person who said, I don't know what's happening, therefore it must be magic or must be something supernatural. And even then, I don't feel like it's fair to hate them, because what else did they have? It's people back then didn't have the scientific understanding and the scientific tools and whatnot and resources that we have today. That's why a lot of religions and myths and ideas of the supernatural and gods and spirits and whatnot exist, from people not knowing what was going on. So they came up with explanations. They came up with stories to explain it. That's not their fault, because what else did they have? They want answers just as much as we do. They just didn't have as good methods. And some might argue that in 1,000 years or so, people might have completely different answers that we have. Our answers might seem primitive to people in 10,000 years. I don't know. But I just don't feel like you could hate that first person, that first domino. I don't feel like it's justified. It's also worth mentioning that person's dead. Hatred doesn't do anything against the person when they're alive. You're not sending negative vibes their way by hating them, even when they're alive. This person's been dead. All these dominoes, except for like maybe the last few, the last few generations, are dead. So you can't even really. What's getting mad at them gonna do? What's hating them gonna do? So I don't know. I think you're justified in your feelings. If somebody harms you or something's caused harm, I'm not saying anything negative about you for having bad feelings. This is just kind of my thought process, and just kind of what I think. I just don't think hatred and anger need to be a part of any of it. Even if you're trying to speak out against Christianity and lead people away from it and whatnot, you still don't need to bring anger and hatred to the table. I just don't think it's necessary, especially at the end of the day. These people are just people, like you and me. They're brought up in different ways. Their minds think differently. They've had different experiences. There's different things that got them to this point. And a lot of it's not even their fault. It's not. And a lot of these people think that they're actually trying to do what is right. They're trying to help people to the best of their ability. They think that what they're doing is good. And so it's, I don't know, it's a tricky situation. And especially whenever emotions are involved. Whenever you're sitting here, an asshole on your couch saying you shouldn't get mad at people who hurt you, which I'm not saying, it gets a little bit more difficult. But I do genuinely think that we can go forward without hating Christians, without hating the people who differ from us or even the people who hurt us. I think we can solve issues without just the mess and the grossness and the corrosion and the harm that come from feelings like hatred.